everybody, it's Mayra. Several people have asked me to do a tutorial on the 1920s style turban. Now that wrap style is kind of a signature for me in colder months, and it's very easy to do, and so here I am. I learned it from my turban sister Rachel, who did a Rapunzel tutorial on it, and here I am doing my own tutorial. So I start with my velvet band and my classic shaper, and I always position my shaper a little higher on the head because I like height. Now, before I actually do it, I'm just going to let you know, I'm going to demonstrate how to do this two ways. The 1920s style turban is a terrific basic wrap, and it looks great on its own, but it also looks great with a little extra. And it's very easy to add extra because it's so simple and subtle. So here goes. I'm already wearing my band and my shaper, and right now I'm doing this with a pashmina. This can be done with any long rectangular scarf. It can be done with a Rapunzel 2-in-1 or any of the printed rectangular scarves. I'm doing it with a pashmina here. Like most turban wraps, it drapes from back to front. But when I drape it, I do it very asymmetrically. There has to be one very long end and one short end. Now, the short end has to be short, but not so short that there's no tail left. Now, what I do is I take the long side and I crisscross it in front of the short one. And then I take the long one and I wrap it around my head. Now I go on top over the short tail. And then I tuck that long tail ends into the seam that I created by wrapping it around my head. Once I've done that, I take this short end and I spread it out just a little bit, and then I flip it backwards, and then I just tuck it again into the seam that I created. And as you can see, I've got a very basic and very subtle turban wrap that looks great. I happen to love this for work because as a wardrobe stylist, I often advise people on what to wear for job interviews and for the workplace. And I find that a more subtle wrap is usually best for the workplace. But this can also even work to tone down something fancier. However, since it's such a simple base, it works great with a little added something something. So here I am. I'm taking a textured oblong and I'm gathering it into a basic sash wrap. And as you can see, I've just jazzed up my 1920s turban. So now it just looks a little fancier. And you can do this, you can do a lot of different add-ons with a lot of different scarves. Depends what you're in the mood for. Now, one of the things that I like about this is not just that it is so simple and subtle and so easy to work with, but also if you have a scarf that is very fancy all by itself, as in it's got a very dramatic color and or print, you might feel that you might be worried that it might be a little too much for someplace like the work environment where you need something more subtle. But in many cases, it's more about the wrap style than it is about the color and the print. And if you do a more subtle wrap style, you can get away with something more dramatic. This is my Rapunzel tapestry scarf. I believe it's the burgundy or maroon. And again, this scarf happens to come off very dressy. It's got, it's got a lot of color and print and texture and even some sheen to it. So it's the kind of scarf that you might think would be a little too over the top for the work environment. But not in the 1920s style turban. You can get away with it in a lot of different places. Here we are again, draping it from back to front. Again, long side in front. Wrapping it around. And tucking the tails and tucking that long tail into the seam. Spread the short tail out, flip it back, and tuck it again into the seam. Now, as you can see, here's this very dramatic scarf in a very undramatic wrap, and that tones it down just enough and makes it wearable for the workplace. Remember, everyone, remember to play around, experiment, have fun, and find what works for you. Bye-bye.